Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Social Media Live with one of our incredible speakers from the Women Thrive Summit. I'm excited to have all of you here for today's conversation talking about elevating impact, harnessing passion, purpose, and expertise for your higher calling. And today's guest that I have with me today is Jessica Rice. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me, Ramonda.
Where are you joining us from?
I'm based in Monterey, California, so Central Coast, right south of San Francisco, San Jose area.
Amazing. I love talking to women from different parts of the world. And it's like when you think about it, it's like you're across the world and we get to do this right now and share your
Mhm.
knowledge and expertise with our audience. So isn't that phenomenal?
It's so amazing.
So, Jessica, today we're going to talking about elevating impact. And of course, I think this is such a great topic for people who are perhaps in their professional career or are entrepreneurs and really looking to align to their purpose, their calling, and really call in the right opportunities to them. And Jessica Rice is CEO, a coach, a podcast host, and a high performance coach who works with women leaders to build their authentic brand and amplify their leadership voice through transformational coaching and positioning strategies that will help them keep rising up in their careers and purpose-driven life. So, Jessica, good to have you here. I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and also for our audience to use the chat box to introduce themselves.
Of course. So, yes, like Ramonda said, my name is Jessica Rice, and I am the founder of Jessica Rice Coaching. And my true passion really is working with women leaders who are really considering what is next in their lives, what it is that they're looking to do. So, if they've come to a maybe mid to senior level within their careers, and oftentimes we start asking what's next. And so that's who I work with quite often in executive coaching roles.
Amazing. How did you get to do what you do today?
It was kind of this rambling little story. I fell into it, moving into leadership within my own career. I have a background in engineering and design. And when I was promoted to leadership, started to look for coaching myself. Not all companies offer coaching to their employees. And so that's how I started coaching my own team and realized that I actually really loved it. And so that started to flourish on its own as I moved up in leadership, and then eventually just decided that coaching was it, and so made the transition to that.
Yeah. And who do you tend to work with?
So I work with a lot of executive leaders at larger corporations. It ranges from big tech to biosciences to government. There's a range of people in between, as well as business owners, those who are looking to kind of really amplify their business and create their authentic branding. So, whether you're a leader or a business owner, having authenticity in your brand and how you show up every day is so incredibly important, because I think it's vital to feel like we are in alignment with what it is that we're doing and the message that we're delivering in every way that we show up.
Yeah. What do you think is the missing piece for the people that you work with? They obviously have achieved incredible success, they have had great careers, but what do you think is the missing piece?
I think especially right now, we're dealing with this very interesting economic climate. We're noticing, obviously, there's layoffs that are happening. We're noticing a tighter squeeze, and a lot of people are asking themselves, I think, similar questions as we just went through with the pandemic, which is really what brings meaning and purpose and value into my life and my career. I think so often when we're coming up in our careers, we're really just kind of following the ladder, so to speak, or the steps that have been laid out for us. And as we move into more levels of success and we start to recognize that it's not everything that we thought it would be, or we're finding that we're struggling to even still find meaning or value in what it is that we're doing, or true happiness. And so that's, I think, the missing gap.
Do you think it's one of those things that we're on a quest in life, the meaning and purpose, or do you think meaning and purpose kind of at some stage finds us? Where's the balance? Like, do we intentionally go out to find it, or do you think that meaning and purpose finds us?
Mm. That's a great question. I think it's maybe a mix of both, and it really depends on the individual. I know people who, they really never thought about meaning or value or purpose or their legacy until they started to reach a certain age. And then I know others who that's something that's really more dear and near to their hearts. I do think that it's important that once you start to recognize that maybe there is greater fulfillment in things that you do and how you blend your expertise and knowledge and skills to how you align that with your purpose, that's a very deliberate action, I do feel.
Mm. What do you feel is your purpose and mission or the legacy that you desire to leave in this world?
So I think for me, I really wanted to move into coaching because I did feel like it was in alignment with a greater or a higher calling that I had for myself. And I wanted to give back to leaders, to women especially, and let them know that, really there is no stopping point. There is no end. We're never too old to start thinking about our dreams or our calling or what it is that we truly want to do, even if we've embarked down a path that we feel has, led to a certain level of success. We can always pivot. And that just has run deep for me for a very long time. Working in engineering really wasn't the path that I was intending to go. I started out in design and it just kind of made its way over to engineering and then leadership. And while I loved that role and the challenge of it, I still didn't feel like I was fulfilling a bigger piece of my life where I was able to give back and be of service in a greater way. And so that's a big shift for me. And I feel like, for women who are looking for those types of things, then we can start to think about what it is that really brings forth the different areas of our lives, our experiences that we've gone through, because we've all had various experience outside of work as well, and how that can start to come together for us so that we feel like we're doing something with meaning.
Yeah. I think when I started my own career, that's what I was looking for, a career path that would give me not only just fulfillment, not only just the reward for my work, but also a deep meaning. So if I'm going to dedicate half of my lifetime to working, I needed it to be meaningful to maintain that motivation. For me, it was I wanted to be motivated to do what I do, and I wanted it to align to my values, which was
Mhm.
freedom for me. So do you think in a career, if people are currently in a career and they lacking that magic, right? They lacking that purpose and meaning in their work, do you think it's possible for them to find within their career, or like yourself, you made a whole shift into moving into becoming your own business owner and a coach. So do you think that is possible to find it, or they should be looking elsewhere?
I think it's absolutely possible to find it in your career. Like you said, we spend 70% of our lives working within our careers and working with specific individuals. And so there's a lot of factors that come into play when we're thinking about our own happiness and meaning and fulfillment. And so some of the things that I work with clients on is really addressing or identifying what some of those things are in relation to what it is that they're currently doing, potential roles that might be in, within their trajectory, but lateral or tangentially, I can't say that word, related to what it is that they're doing. And then we can start sparking that, because I think that different titles sometimes that we don't even think about, or what it is really even outside of title, but what it is that we're actually just doing. And that can be a culmination of things too. It's not always just our work, but it could be other aspects of how we serve, outside as well, whether it's, and so that's a piece of it that I always like to mention. And sometimes it does require a pivot or a complete transition. If we find ourselves in a career that's not, you know, we're not finding ourselves very happy. And I don't think that we're intended to be living unhappy every single day and waking up and dreading what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've seen this such a big shift, especially during the pandemic, that people, when they have the opportunity to pause, this is when everything started to kind of unravel for them to say, I
Mhm.
want more deeper meaning. I want more purpose. I want to do the work that really lights me up. And I think that was a big, big transition from people working in jobs that were perhaps soul sucking to doing the
Mhm.
purpose work. Do you find that your clients then go on to new adventures that start to light up their fire?
Absolutely. And speaking of that too, with the layoffs that have been happening, I know several people who, while in that moment, it was so incredibly painful to be let out, laid off. You don't know what's happening. There's a lot of ambiguity and fear around that. And once you can take that time to pause, as you're talking about, I know so many people who used it and were able to then launch businesses or launch other careers that were in alignment because they actually were able to slow down enough to pay attention. And so I do think that that's a real key element to really considering what it is that we want to do. Sometimes we just don't slow down enough to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that slowing down piece, and even in your everyday life, you can slow down and journal and, see whether your life is going in the right direction. And if not, or, I had this experience in my life where I thought, my life isn't going the right direction where I want it to go. So let's make a pivot. And I think it's
Mhm.
never too late to make a pivot in your career or in your life, right?
Absolutely. We always have we always have time. I mean, we're here on this planet and let's make the most of it is always what I'm thinking for myself. And if it's not bringing that joy and satisfaction, then something's not in alignment. Something's not right. We shouldn't just be, you know, doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you do on a daily basis that brings you joy?
My life has changed so much over the course of, even the last year that it's interesting to me the things that I find joyful are quiet and small and, momentary. So some of the things, do require, like self-reflection, journaling, but also it's just I have a daily tea ritual that I do, just little simple things that I can take a moment and it fills up my cup. I also homeschool my son, so that is in and of itself, a big reward for me to be able to get to this point and be able to spend time with him every day, and so those little moments that I felt like I was missing out on before, really bring me a lot of joy as well.
Mm. Do you think there's such thing as complete balance in life?
What is complete balance? I don't know. I think that we can strive for balance. I think if we're starting to notice that things are starting to shift or carry us into a direction that is feeling out of balance, that's when it's really important for us to take notice. I sometimes recommend to clients there's something called the Wheel of Life. It's quite a simple tool. And it really just is marking off the different aspects of your life or things that you identify are important. And so that you can start to see where things are shifting for you. And the intent is never to have this complete little circle where you're marking off 10 things perfectly, but just to start noticing where spikes are happening in certain areas of your life and where there's dips. And so if you need to spend more time or pay more attention to other important things, then I think it's important that we start, it's just all about awareness and having that notice of what it is that's going on in our lives.
Beautiful. Love that. Yeah, I think it's nice to find what really lights you up. And I think when you do the work or you speak on things that lights you up,
Mhm.
there's an energy shift, there is that passion that just comes right through you, and that's the kind of work I want to see every woman doing that lights
Mhm.
her up, not the one that
Mhm.
sucks the life out of you, not the one that, you have to dread going to work or dread facing Monday because you can't stomach another day at work, right? Or stomach your
Um,
boss anymore. And I think this is where the truly finding your passion and what makes you tick is a secret to a successful and happy life, right?
Absolutely. I think we've all experienced well, maybe most of us anyway, what a toxic environment can feel like for us. And when we go through that, we are not in alignment and we are having to pretend or to be somebody else in order to survive rather than, thriving like women thrive. So I think it's so important that we're thinking about, what it is that fills our cup. And if it is a challenge, what is it that's at the light at the end of the tunnel that carries us through so that we can start to reach those goals in a deeper and meaningful way? So I don't know about balance, but I definitely feel like when we're noticing that things in our life, if we're going into work and we're questioning everything and we're feeling insecure, there's there's moments where we have to recognize maybe imposter syndrome, but there's other aspects of, is this really a good fit for me? Is this the right culture? Is this the right environment? Do I need to be doing something else? And really paying attention to what our body is telling us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we know more than we say we are aware of, I would say. I think in our
Mhm.
bodies, in our emotions, in our hearts, we actually know what's going on. And it just sometimes takes that courage to face it and say, look, I'm not happy or I'm not in alignment and something needs to change. So,
Mhm.
Jessica, you're a speaker at the Women Thrive Summit, and I know we're going to be talking on this topic in much more detail. What can people expect when they join the event in March?
So not only are we going to have a ton of women who are so phenomenal and going to be so inspiring, so I'm really looking forward to listening to everybody's talks. But I'll be talking about basically what we're talking about here, what we're addressing in the sense of how do you start to recognize when it's time to maybe make a pivot or a shift or up level for yourself, and also how do you leverage everything that you bring to the table, so your natural strengths, your expertise, your experiences. Most of our lives, we are learning things innately and we don't know how to attribute it. And so that's where kind of learning even about our zone of genius, as Gay Hendricks talks about, is so important, because it's really about bringing together everything that we are as an individual to the work that we do and using that in such a way that we can then level up. So we'll be talking about that, and then really how you start to take those things and develop a personal roadmap for yourself so that you can feel like you can move forward and have greater clarity and less ambiguity about even where to begin.
Yeah, I love that. I think, when, especially as entrepreneurs, we build business plans for our businesses, but do you have a business plan for your own career and your life? Have you spent that time addressing those aspects? And what I love about the summit and when people attend the Women Thrive Summit, they start to tap into the expertise of people like yourself who, have different experiences and different tips and advice for them, and that uncovers or unearths a lot of new ideas,
Mhm.
and a huge transformation really happens in these virtual rooms of our events, virtual and live. But of course, we're talking about the event in March that is happening virtually.
Mhm.
Jessica, how can people connect other than, of course, signing up for your talk at the event?
The best way is really, you can find me on social media at Jessica Rice Coaching or Jessica Carl Rice. And you can also go to my website at Jessica Rice Coaching and get in touch with me there. I have some free resources available to you. I have a new quiz that I put out. So if you're kind of considering what really is next for you, is it about leveling up within your career, or is it about changing, companies, or is it actually transitioning out of your career? That's what the quiz goes into. So there's a couple of different resources out there as well.
So make sure you head over to jessicaricecoaching.com or connect with Jessica across her different social media channels. Follow her journey. And of course, if you feel inspired by today's conversation, you are looking to really create more purposeful career and answer your higher calling, and you want to make a big impact in the world, I think this session at the Women Thrive Summit would be just for you. So head over to womenthrivesummit.com, register for your spot. There's free tickets, there are free paid tickets to be part of the Women Thrive Summit, which is our annual global women empowerment event. And we have more than 50 incredible speakers from all around the world who are going to be sharing their insights and expertise on various topics, anything from leadership, changing your career, to confidence building, to entrepreneurship, visibility marketing, personal life brand, personal life planning, love and relationships, love and healing, and so much more. So I think going to be in for a treat. Make sure you save the time in your diary between the 18th to the 22nd of March. And I think the opportunities that this event unlocks for all those who participate, from speakers to attendees, get to network, get to transform their lives, is going to be phenomenal. Jessica, any last parting thoughts before we close out for today's call?
I think that mostly is just if you can walk away knowing that you don't have to be unhappy. There is more opportunity out there, even though sometimes we don't recognize it. And it really truly is never too late to start looking at how we create that for ourselves in our lives.
Absolutely. Wise words, Jessica. And if you are feeling inspired by today's conversation, I would love for you to share it to social media live with your audience, because you never know who might be needing this advice, this guidance, this inspiration right now to make that change. Because, like Jessica said, we spend more than 70% of our time in our careers. And I think it'd be much wiser to be in a career that is in true alignment to your purpose and passion, and something that truly lights you up. So I hope you get to connect with Jessica across our social media channels, and of course attend her talk and the Women Thrive Summit in March. Jessica, thank you so much for your
Mhm.
time, for showing up, for also doing what you do, because I think this is hugely transformational for people in their careers. And I look forward to seeing you at the summit.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure you tune in for more incredible interviews with some more speakers. Take care for now. Bye bye.
Mm.